everyone, it's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. So I'm vlogging from my car post horse riding lesson today. I just thought I'd do a quick update now because it's not a very big one, and I've got a few errands to run and I don't know when I'll be sitting down to film. So I just thought, yeah, I'll quickly do the update now while I remember and everything's fresh in my mind. So this week we had a different instructor. We had Annie. She used to be one of my instructors ages ago, last year, but due to her other job and her school, her study, she had to give up the coaching. So she only comes up like on occasion when Mr. K and Mrs. K go away, and things like that. So yeah, we had Annie today and we went out on the trails, and I was riding Toledo, who I haven't ridden since he got injured. So we basically just started out by going out into one of the paddocks and we were just, walking, and that was fine. Toledo was a bit slow today, for me, but he did have a big lesson the lesson before. They were doing jumping and everything, so he was probably a bit tired. But yeah, so we went through the paddocks, didn't have any issues with him in the paddocks. He was trying to do a forward trot or fast trot, but we were at the end, so we kept getting caught behind a 10. We had to slow down a couple of times, but then when we were going up the hill that every group goes up pretty much every lesson, at the trot, he started off fast and then we got too close to Ted, so I pulled him back a little bit, and then after that he was just so slow and it just felt like he was struggling, and I was sort of starting to worry that maybe he'd injured himself again or something was wrong. So when we got to the top, I sort of let him slow down to a walk, and he felt like he was walking fine, and then we sort of trotted again, but he was just so slow compared to what he normally is. So when we caught up with the group, I just asked Annie if she could just watch him walk and make sure he was okay, because I wasn't sure. She watched him walk and said he looked like he was fine, just to keep an eye on him and everything. And then we just walked downhill through a gate, and then we were going to do a quick canter, and she's like, look, if you feel like he's not going to be alright, don't do it. And I was like, well, if you've said he looks alright, that's fine. I'll just see how he goes, and if he doesn't want to do it, then I won't make him do it. Well, he was trying to canter before we'd even the first horse had taken off, so I let him canter and he seemed fine. But we had in the order, Ted was in front of me, and then Caitlin and Twilight were in front of them, and she's still a little bit scared. So she didn't canter for as long as everyone else, which was fine. She slowed down to a trot. It's better for her to be feel safe than do something and fall off and then never want to get back on again. So that was fine. I'm just going to stop because someone's coming down and I don't want them to see me talking to a camera. Alright, I'm back. So I had to pretend like I was just sitting here eating. I'm just praying she didn't notice that the camera or the phone is actually set up on the tripod, because that would be kind of awkward. Oh my god. Sorry, a green bug just attacked me. Where was I up to? Oh, so we did the canter, Caitlin went to a trot, and then we just sort of followed along at a walk, which was fine. We did another trot around a trail, which was better. And then we fell behind again a little bit, but that was fine. Then we sort of just walked for ages, went through another gate, and then we were just we were trotting through a different paddock, or we were about to start trotting through a different paddock, and Annie warned us that once we got to the tree we were going to do a canter, and she said, is there anyone who doesn't feel like they're going to do the canter? And Caitlin did put her hand up, but I don't think Annie saw it, so she sort of thought we were all just going to canter. But yeah, when we got to the tree, there's another car coming. Okay, sorry, so the car actually literally like pulled up, like is right behind the camera, which is great. She did kind of look at me funny, but who cares? I don't know that person, so that's fine. But yeah, so we started to trot. We're just going up this little hill, and we were sort of in the same order. So it was Annie, Ben, Maddie, Caitlin, Laura, me. And as we get to the tree, like the others have already cantered off, and there was a big gap between Maddie and Caitlin. As Caitlin got to the tree, she peeled off to the side. And just, I knew she wasn't going to canter. And I just said to her, like, are you alright? And she's like, no. And so Laura took Ted off, went for the canter, and I stopped and like waited, and like Caitlin was getting off, and she got her foot caught in the stirrup, so she was kind of a little bit panicky. Because when she tried to stop him and turn him around, he'd stood, like she was on Twilight, he'd sort of pulled back and like started to get a little bit like jumpy, so she tried to get off as quick as she could and got her foot caught, and then she sort of just stood on the ground, like she had her arms around his neck, but she was crying, and I just felt so bad for her. I turned Toledo around, went beside her, and I was just like, you know, you're alright, like you'll be fine. And then she wasn't coming down, so I got off. And I was just like, I got off, put Toledo's reins over his head, and I was holding onto them, and I went around her and I gave her a big hug, and I was like, it's okay, you know, you've had a scare, like it is going to take time, but you are going to build it back, like you're such a brave girl, you got straight back on, you do every week, like you're going to get there, it's just going to take a little while to build that confidence back up, but you will get there. And she sort of like started to calm down, and then Annie had like come back by that point, and she's like, oh, you alright, what's going on? And I just said to her, I was like, look, I think she just got a little bit scared, that's all. And she's like, oh no, that's fine. And I just said to her, like, are you gonna get back on? And she's like, yeah. So I was like, do you need a hand? She's like, yeah. So I gave her a leg up, put her on, and then Annie had gotten off, and she's like, oh, Ash. I was like, yeah, I might bring Toledo up onto the hill so I'm on the higher side. And she's like, yeah, and I'll hold the stirrup. So I got back on, and then we're like, how are you going to get back on Tucson? Because Tucson is like a Clydesdale something, so he's huge. But she actually managed to get back on, which was fine. And then we sort of did like a sandwich with Caitlin. Annie and Tucson were first, then it was Caitlin and Twilight, and then me and Toledo were like right behind. Toledo was trying to pull out. I kept trying to pull him behind. He did not want to, so but I, like, as much as I could, I got behind Twilight. And we did like the trot, and then we did a short canter, and then when we got to the top of the hill, and he was like, okay, Caitlin, do you want to do a trot with me to the oak tree, and then the others can follow afterwards with the canter? And she was like, yeah. So they went off and did the trot, and then we followed in the canter. It was actually a really nice canter. And then we basically just did like a little walk back, like back down a windy trail to sort of waste some time and cool the horses out a little bit. But I did speak with Annie afterwards, and like she said, you know, like from when she last saw me to now, like there's so much improvement, and she can definitely tell like that I am improving. So it's good to like to get that opinion from someone who isn't seeing me as often, so they can say, yeah, like you have improved quite a bit since I last saw you. It's not just, you know, going off of like what I think and if I am improving. But yes, that was good. And I was also like really glad to have Toledo again, because like I haven't ridden him since he got injured, like I said, but he has been ridden in that lesson, like by Ben when we were doing jumping, you know, and like I normally switch between Tarantino and Ted, but Tarantino was being used for another lesson and Ted was being used in our lesson by Laura. But sometimes like when that happens, I get Ted and then Laura gets Sprite. So I was glad, like I actually got to ride a different horse, and like Toledo's one of those horses he loves, like he prefers your leg aids, so it was good because I got to test my leg aids, make sure I knew what I was doing with my leg aids, because he didn't like his reins being used very much. He's used to like a one-handed rider basically, because he is Michelle's horse, and Michelle just sort of rides like one-handed like a cowboy. But yeah, so it was a good lesson. It was a nice relaxing lesson. It wasn't anything too stressful. I know Caitlin found it a bit stressful, but that's just because she's still struggling to get over when Boy bolted on it. And I did remind her that she didn't fall off Twilight, she fell off Boy, and they're different horses. And yes, it is scary because Twilight does bolt, but she's handled him in the past and she'll handle him again. So it's just about building up her confidence, and fingers crossed, like she'll get there. She will get there. It's just gonna take her a little bit of time. But yeah, so yeah, it was a good lesson. It was nice, and it was good to have just that little bit of a break from like the strict arena lessons where you're like, you're doing this wrong, do this. Like, it was just I'm gonna try here. You can either sit, post, 3-point, whatever. So it was good to just have a nice lesson. But yeah, so that's my update. I'm going to go and get changed and then go and run my errands. So hopefully the lighting wasn't too bad in here. I know it's a bit dark up here and a bit light down here. I have a blanket on top of my riding bag, and then the tripod is on that because I really didn't like last time's angle. I am going to probably look at maybe getting one of those window mounts, and I might just look at putting it on my windscreen or something. I don't know, just so that, because I don't like filming from my chin. I like filming from above. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I will chat to you guys later. If you're following along with Weight Loss Vlogs, it will go back to its normal Wednesday release, and the riding vlogs will stay on the Saturday. I couldn't even remember. Sorry, I was just having a mental blank because I realised I haven't actually filmed my weight loss vlog for this week at all. So I'll either do that this afternoon or tomorrow, depending on time, I guess, when I have time, because I've worked tomorrow as well. So, and I really don't like vlogging when there's people in the house. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Have a good week, guys. Catch you next time. Bye.